Okay, good night again, and we are concluding tonight on original sin as we continue the acronym doctrine. What we say doctrine is? Doctrine, deity of Christ, original sin, canon of scripture, Trinity, resurrection, incarnation,
new heaven,
new earth, eschatology. That's right. We want to remember that like how we remember our names. That is what we believe as Judeo-Christian. That is the fundamental aspect of our faith. We want to remember that. That is most important. Now, we're dealing with the second letter of the word doctrine and the acronym O for original sin. Now, we hear in the word sin, original sin. What is sin? We in the West, when we hear the word sin, what we were taught in our Sunday schools and what have you, what is it? What is sin?
Fornication.
She say fornication. Dysfunction.
Missing the mark.
Missing the mark. Now, the Western world will render it missing the mark. But what does it mean to miss the mark? What does that mean? When we hear the word sin, missing the mark, what does that mean? In a Western mindset, that has no meaning. It carries some type of support on the basis of something else that you don't know about. You're missing the mark. What mark you're supposed to hit? If you don't know the target for what you are targeting, how can you miss the mark? Sin in itself is dealing with how many things? Two things. Could you sin with one thing?
No.
No. How many things you must have for sin? Two things. We discussed that in our first presentation. You must have duality in order for sin to exist. You can't have sin or dysfunctionality in one unit. Who is one unit? Who is one unit? Yahweh is one unit. And we're using one unit for communication. We're using one unit, and we know I like to use the pyramid or a triangle to relate with the Creator. One unit. So if this one unit is the Creator, is there sin in the Creator?
Why not?
No.
Is there sin in the Creator? No. Can there be sin in the Creator?
No.
Why there can't be sin in the Creator? But what is sin?
He's functional.
He is functional. Does God function?
Oh no, sorry.
That's right.
Absolute.
He's absolute. He's absolute.
Divine.
Yeah, but divine is...
He's all.
Huh?
He's all.
He's all. But all what? All sinful?
All which is bad.
But now, if we use the word sinful, and more I use sinful, what happening?
The more you get confused.
Tell us, sit down. Huh?
The more you get confused.
Once you're using the word sinful, you're getting what? What happening to you?
You turn it over.
Do you know what I'm talking about? No, when I use the word sinful, what am I talking about?
Dysfunctionality.
Yeah, you know it's dysfunctionality. But then in the Western world, when you use the word sin, what am I speaking about?
Abstract.
It's very abstract, and sin has no what?
Meaning.
No meaning in it. In itself. It has no type of relation. Sin is what? Sin is relational, like what? Sin is relational, like what?
Like man and woman.
Like man and woman, what?
Steal it.
Like stealing, yes. But relational, it resembles what?
Duality, right?
Yeah, it's the duality. But it resembles what we call ahav or ahava. What the West call? Love.
Love.
And love is relational. Sin is
Relational.
so this functionality has to do with who? Your relation first with who? Yourself. And that relationship with yourself is based upon what? It's based upon a privilege. And that privilege is what? Freedom. Freedom. So sin has a relationship with an individual. Relational. That relationship. And that could only happen to our which agent? The first cause or the second cause? Sin or dysfunctionality can only happen with the non-cause or the first cause?
Are they one and the same?
No. The non-cause
It's Yahweh.
and the first cause.
Huh?
We are the
First cause.
we are the cause. Anything that is coming out of the non-cause is the first cause. And the cause have a dependent on what? On the non-cause. And because it has a dependent on the non-cause, it creates what? Dependency and what we call relationship. But can you have a relationship in yourself? Why not?
But you need to.
You need two. You need that which keeps you what? In check, or keeps you what? Functioning as you were designed. You can't function without dependence. You can't function without dependence. Can God function?
No.
Can God function? Why God can't function?
Absolutely.
Is it?
He has no form. He has no shape. He is all. He is all. Absolutely.
Say that again.
He has no form. He has no shape.
He has no parts. He's what you call a what? A simple being. And a simple being is what it is. He is a spirit. We are complex being. And complex being are dependent on its source or its point of origin. So now, original sin, where did it come from? Where did original sin come from? How we now are faced with this dilemma of original sin. Remember, we went into Isaiah chapter 14 and Ezekiel 28, and we saw where Lucifer said, I will ascend, I will exalt, I will sit upon the throne of the Most High. I. And the way it is rendered, like if Lucifer is making this sort of, as it is rendered in the West, this sort of, what's the word? When it says selfish, ego or pride, we like the word pride. Is I a bad word?
No.
Yeah. Because in Deuteronomy chapter 6, 4, he said, Eshe, I am I. Is I. But when he was speaking to Moses, he said, now I will be I. Meaning future. And that was in the future tense. And Yeshua in John chapter 14 and onwards, what Jesus Christ said? I am the way, the truth, and the life. John 17:17. And reading from John 14 going up to 18. He said, now I am the way. I am he. And that is in the present continuous tense. That is in the perfect tense. And in Hebrew, we have how much? We have two tense. We have what tense? Perfect and imperfect. And a perfect tense is what is past. And an imperfect tense is future. So now let us look at something. Original sin has its origin in likeness. But then when we read the Bible says no, and God made man in his image and likeness. That's how it is rendered. But that word there, image and likeness, is best rendered shadow. Shadow. And when you are made in the shadow of something, it's like a what? A reflector, right? It's like a reflector. But if you look at an author, a writer, this words on this page is from whose mind? God's mind. Okay? And these words that are on this page, it reflects the mind of God. But is this God? Are these words on these pages God?
That was man.
No. Who it was written by?
Man.
Man. What type of man? Carnal man who were divinely inspired by God. So now these words reflect the mind of God, but it's not God. So now there is a relationship between the word and God's mind. But it is in no way similar to God. It has its origin on the basis of what? The will of freedom and the will to communicate. Now the will of freedom and the will to communicate creates what? That's the area in where we have what? This functionality. So now I want